My name's Stephen Green. I run an organisation called Christian Voice, which is helping Christian people to pray into, to take action about things that are happening in Parliament and in public life. We've had a long-term interest in injustice in the family courts, but only recently have we started putting things up on the YouTube channel. And just over Christmas, I was able to put up a video called Christmas Ruined by Social Services, in which a couple from Bexley told their story to me with their backs to the camera. So you all saw with my face and their backs. And they told a very harrowing story of how their eldest son ran off. Then when he was picked up by the police, made up some stories about him being abused by his parents. They were then, sorry, can you not use flash photography because it makes the footage useless because you completely alter the, you know, the aperture and everything that he's got on there. Okay, fine. So they told a harrowing story about how their eldest son ran off. Then when he was picked up by the police, he alleged that his parents had been beating him. That case then went to the Crown Court. All 4 children were taken into care. In the meantime, there were 2 parallel things were going on. Right? They were taken to the Crown Court to answer charges of child abuse. Meanwhile, Bexley Council were trying to get child care orders in the family court, which is a civil court. You may know that, as Mr. Driscoll said, the police officer who's just been, in the criminal courts have a standard of evidence called beyond reasonable doubt. I don't think that's quite strong enough, to be honest. The ancient courts would rather that 20 guilty people would go free than 1 innocent person be convicted. But having said that, that's their standard. In the civil courts, it's done on the balance of probabilities. That spills over into the family courts. The problem in the family courts is that you're dealing sometimes with some substantially very serious allegations of abuse, things that would normally be dealt with in the criminal courts, but you still have a slightly different standard of evidence, which is a bit peculiar. So in the family court, what happened in the Bexley case was the judge was advised these parents to plead guilty in the Crown Court so that they could get their children back. That is because the system finds it very difficult to deal with parents who maintain that they are innocent. If they say they are guilty, then we can work with them and help them be better parents. If they say that they're innocent, we can't do anything with them. The system will not work. Malfunction, malfunction. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah? Well, they did not take the advice of the judge in the family court. They pleaded not guilty. Their eldest son had admitted he'd made it all up, refused to attend, and they were acquitted. You would think at that moment, which was in July 2015, that Bexley would then say, okay, sorry about that, you can have your children back. No, they haven't done that. In fact, what actually happened was that the head of Children's Services, Jackie Tiotto in Bexley, emailed me and said, well, actually, no, the parents have got to bring their own case to get their children back in a family court. So that is what they're doing now with our help. Let me see, I've made a whole lot of notes and it's not working very well. Yes. Why are we interested in the family courts and in injustice? Because the family is the first social institution of Almighty God, and it's the foundation of society. Okay. Now, I don't deny that there are bad families out there, and there are going to be parents who are abusive, and partners who are abusive, and all this kind of thing. But and I'm not just an activist and a farmer and a musician. I'm also, like a video brother, an accredited journalist. Okay, so I'm interested in the story. but also, I know that the media can go over the top. And if you get a case like Victoria Climbié or Peter Connolly, they're all like, oh, this must never happen again. And all the social workers go into complete overdrive, and they end up sort of, casting out a net to, to drag in anybody who just sort of might be on the verges of being abused. And what we need to realise is that there are always going to be those children who are abused by their parents and who are going to end up dead, like Peter. You cannot eliminate it. You cannot eliminate it. And what we appear to be having now is overreactions from social services. I have a lot of parents now, because of the Bexley video, they're contacting me and they're saying, my daughter was sort of, messing around in the car, and I couldn't concentrate while I was driving them to school. So, so I gave her, a slap round the ear or something. She went into school crying. The teachers asked her what was the matter. She said, oh, my mother smacked me in the car. Social services come in. Or can you come down to the school and bring all your children with you? They put all the children get taken into care. And then she goes to the doctor. The doctor can't find a mark on her. Social services see a birthmark on her leg and they think that's a bruise. But that particular family, it's not the Bexley family, this is another family in London. They managed to get their children back, and in the course of the investigations, I found out that the social worker's running her own company and turning over tens of thousands of pounds doing it. But anyway, look, but that video has not yet been published, so I can't say too much more about that. Okay, where are we? Bad families, are not entirely. Yeah, and somebody else has told me that because of the cuts, social workers who have a job to keep families together, they have a job on child protection, they don't have enough time or money to do both jobs now. So they're just concentrating on the child protection because that's what draws the headlines if it goes wrong. Are you with me? Okay, so I'm not, yeah, okay, you're right. But look, now, bear with me, I'm not going to take questions because you're going to disrupt my flow and then we don't know where we are. It's disrupted enough, as it were. Okay, job of a journalist. The job of a journalist is to hold those in power to account. Okay? Now, if you pick up the Metro newspaper, you'll see a little bit of it is news, and then you get on to Angelina and Mariah and Brad and all these people. Friends, that is not journalism, that is entertainment. So half your newspaper is entertainment and half of it is journalism. Have you got that? Yeah. Okay? We were hearing a lot about football earlier on. Just get it in your mind that football is entertainment, and business, then it all makes sense. Okay? Right, so that's enough about that. Well, it isn't really, because the Word of God in the Bible says, from those to whom much has been given, much will be expected. And the ones with that's why I'm not calling parents and families to account. I'm calling social workers, advocates, experts and judges to account. They might not like it, but that's my job, because they are the ones with the power over ordinary people, and they are the ones from whom much is expected. Are you following me? Yeah. Okay. Now, the family courts are opening up, largely because of the efforts of Sir James Mumby, the president of the family court, who's saying that we want the public to have trust in the system. Okay. Yeah, all right, you might laugh, but there are journalists, and I know Sue Reed is going to be speaking later, who are taking an interest in this case, in this whole matter of the family courts. There's one great journalist called Louise Tickle, and she's producing a documentary. She had to fight North Tyneside Council for the right to appear in court, which she has anyway under the rules. I can turn up to any family court and sit in on the procedures. It's up to the local authority or the court to come up with a reason why I shouldn't be there or why I should be restricted in what I'm saying. I'm not allowed to, and I have no interest in identifying the children or the families or ethnicities or anything which might identify the family or the children or their school or anything like that. All I'm interested in is how the system is working. Okay, and so Louise Tickle got an order eventually, with the agreement of North Tyneside, that she could report everything she wanted. People could show her all the papers she wanted, but she couldn't identify the children and the families and all that kind of stuff that I just went through. Is that making any kind of sense to you? And only 2 days ago, it was a court somewhere in England, and it was on Thursday, and and I was able to use the Tickle case to get an order which would allow me the freedom that I wanted in the family court. Okay, so yeah, we've got common threads in the cases that, because the Bexley case has led to so many people calling me. And if you go onto YouTube and search "Christmas Ruined by Social Services," you'll come up with a video. Bexley Council threatened me with contempt of court because that comment from the judge that the parents should plead guilty in the county court. That's in the video. They said that's a contempt of court. So they're threatening me with all kinds of things. You know, the sky was going to fall in if I didn't pull the video. But you know, I mean, I don't respond well to threats. You know, I don't like to take a backward step. You know, I think I should have been built a little bit squarer and a little bit shorter, been a rugby front row, you know, rugby prop or something. I don't like taking a backward step. You know what I mean? So the video's up there, and it's going to stay up there. And if they want to do, they do what they want. I don't, you know, because it's people who stick their necks out get the law changed. You see what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so I don't take threats kindly. Common threads that have been coming up from all the people who've been contacting me. Firstly is that people have made the, look, I'm not going to say that there aren't social workers who are really good out there and who try to keep families together and doing their very best, but the parents who are contacting me are contacting me because they have a grievance. They're not contacting me because everything has been going swimmingly. They're contacting me because they think it's gone wrong. And the common threads in their stories are of social workers not helping them, but building a case against them. Okay? And everything is used to build a case against the parents. They'll send the parents to a psychologist. Who's paying the psychologist? Hang on a minute, it's social services. So, so the psychologist is going to put the worst possible slant on what the parent has told them. I'm sure if I sat in front of a social services psychologist, they say that I have borderline something or other disorder. You know. I probably have, but that's not the. But you know, that's the point, because you know, half adequate parenting is better than parenting by the state. So okay, common threads. Another thread seems to be that if a mother has been in the care system, then that counts against her as a mother. Yeah. So how good is the care system then? Do you see what I'm saying? And if a child makes an allegation, that allegation is believed. Now, you saw in Operation Midland when that guy Nick made allegations against Harvey Proctor and against Field Marshal Sir Dwin Bramall, and but the accuser was not credible, and yet these men were put through, you know, months of aggravation because of the allegations. So, and they always want to believe a child, but we've had cases where they'll believe a child who alleges abuse, but they won't believe another child who denies it. So, you know, believing the accuser without corroborating evidence is very, very dangerous. So these are the kind of common threads that we're seeing. We're also seeing that social services won't seem to back down in the cases that I've heard. Had a mother in Glasgow, so it's not just England and Wales, up in Glasgow. Her story is that she was trafficked into the country, that she then asked the local authority to look after her 5-year-old son because she felt she couldn't look after him, or maybe he was 3 then, but she couldn't look after him. She felt she couldn't, so they looked after him. Can I ask you if you've got a mobile phone that you switch it off, please, guys? Yeah. Like I've done, because I'm a good boy, all right? Usually. Okay, so then she had a daughter. She was actually pregnant when she was injured. Anyway, so she had a little daughter now. So now she says, right, I'm in a better place now. She goes to social services. She says, right, okay, can I have my son back? And they say, no. She says, well, I've signed a Section 20 notice. That's a notice that you sign to say that you can't provide accommodation for your children when in fact you can. But you sign it so that Section 20 of the Children Act 1989 can come into force. No questions. Okay. So she said, well, can I have my son? I'll have my son. I'll take the Section 20 notice back. They say, if you do that, we'll take your daughter into care as well. Whoa, hang on, what's going on here? So either there's a cause for taking your daughter into care or there isn't, and they can't use that as a threat. So that's another case that's going on. Right. The case of psychological test, monster care system. Okay. I'm saying that there are now, I'm concerned about these cases. There seems to be injustice happening. I hate injustice. So there are 4 things that I say that we're able to do to bring some sanity and some justice into the situation. Bear in mind, it's not all helping parents. I'm a hard-nosed journalist. I want a story as well, all right? So the parents have got the story. I'm helping the parents, but we're also helping the story, okay? So keep that in mind. I can do 4 things, all right? We put parents in touch with solicitors. We put parents in touch with solicitors who do not work for local authorities, more to the point, okay? And barristers. And we're building up a little bit of a database of those. So if you're a solicitor out there or a barrister and you fall into that category, then get in touch with us. Secondly, what's the second thing? Hold on, what's the second thing we can do? Put in touch with you. Yes, we can allow the parents to tell their story on YouTube, okay? On our YouTube channel, we'll put that story up and allow parents to tell their story. The third thing we can do, because we're a Christian organisation, is pray for people and with people if they so desire. Because there's sometimes when you're really up against it and you just need a bit of favour from on high, don't you? You know what I mean? You need things to go well for you. And the fourth thing I could do as a journalist is to show up in the family courts, as I said before. And sometimes that goes, it's a bit awkward, like the case I was talking about. Other times it goes absolutely swimmingly. And we have a case on the Christian Voice website about Milton Keynes. 2 girls were taken into care, and the family court judge, first of all, on the first week, he completely overruled social services who wanted to exclude me on the basis of what they'd read on Google about me. And the judge said, sorry, but when I look at the practice directive, what's said on Google about the journalist isn't a reason for excluding them. You have to have particular points which you have to put down. If you've got any of those, no, the guy said, well, then you can't exclude Mr. Green, can you? No, sir. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. And then the next week, social services would not admit that they were harming the children by keeping them in care. These girls have been taken into care, and they were given by the. Thank you. They were given no toothbrushes. The social didn't even ask the parents for this stuff, so they didn't ask the parents if they should have provided it. Toothbrushes, they had complained about, they didn't have a hairbrush, so the family gave them a hairbrush full of people's hair, They had no night clothes, they had to sleep in their school clothes, they weren't even given clean underwear. And the family dog was not set upon them, but they don't like dogs, these children. The family dog, the dog was coming to their bedroom, they had no lock on the door, no privacy, nothing. So, that is apart from being away from their parents. So the judge was saying to the social services advocate, he's saying, well, where in your report are you acknowledging the harm that you're doing to the children? I sat there, wow. And the guy said, oh, it's a paragraph 94A, sir. You can call him sir because it was district judge. And he turned to it, he says, is that it? He says, is that it? He said, no, look, come on. I've got to make a judgment on balance here. You're giving me no balance, so these girls are going home. I was like, wow, Now, he might be a very astute and kind and gentle judge, this man. He might be a very, very good guy. Or it might just have been that my presence in the courtroom did no harm. Right. But whatever it was, that was a lovely case to report on because, the family, they were praising God outside the corridor. It was awesome. The children's guardian was pleased. Everyone was pleased, except the only one who wouldn't give me a comment was the advocate for the local authority. So there we are. So that's the fourth thing I can do. Where are we? The one thing that I can't do is help with legal advice. Okay, because if I help with legal advice, I'll be here till, whatever. So, and I might get it wrong, and I don't know enough about that. But I think those things that we can do are quite significant. There's a couple of little points, Maggie, if I might just say a couple of little tiny points. The first is that I'm finding great difficulty in getting members of Parliament who are prepared to take this up. despite Alan, well, in fact, to be honest, I haven't really contacted Lucy Allen, who with Alan Johnson, both members of Parliament, had a parliamentary debate on this matter, initiated a parliamentary debate, and there was some amazing stuff said by Yasmin Qureshi, who's represented parents. And she said the same sort of things that I've just been saying. But it's very difficult to get an MP to take this up. If you say, look, there's injustice happening in the family courts, every MP I've spoken to about it says, oh, if you know somebody who's suffered that, tell them to go to their MP and take it up. But when they do that, their MP says, you're in the courts. Well, I can't take that up because that's in the courts. Yeah. So nobody seems to be taking it up. So that is one challenge that we need to do, is to find some MPs who are prepared to start taking this up and allowing families to put their case and to tell their story, because it's going to influence the legislation. Things need to be shown. There needs to be more openness, and in fact, you see, journalists like it. They like a story. It's got to have a bit of meat in it and stuff. And the more open the courts are, obviously without identifying the children. See, my concern is that although everything says that you mustn't identify the children or anything about the case for the sake of the children, I have sometimes a suspicion that it's actually for the sake of the system. Yeah, it's not protecting the children; it's protecting the system, and that as a journalist, I think that's I don't like that because it's my job to call the system to account.
Yeah, the system is a multi-billion-pound industry.
Hang on, Maggie.
Sorry, Stephen.
It's all right, because I'm in full flow, Maggie. But I'm coming up to my last little point, and this is the one thing that social services have forgotten: is that children in care grow up, and when they get to the age of 18. They can bring an action against that local authority for breach of their human right to a family life. That's at the most basic. And I'm very keen to get in contact with somebody who's 18 or over, who has gone through the care system, who was taken away from their parents wrongly. That's the key thing. Taken away from their parents wrongly, okay, and has suffered that deprivation of family life, and is prepared to go through the absolute agony of bringing an action against a local authority. And we'll somehow we'll raise the funds. So the Lord will provide the funds somehow. But that is because that's the only way that they're going to learn is when people start bringing action against them. All right, that to quote somebody or other is the only language that sort understand, if you see what I mean.